Hidden Instagram messages lead to shocking end in the woods. The December rain pounded against the windshield as two young men drove deeper into the dark forest. One was just 15, excited about what he thought was young love. The other was 19, carrying a secret that would turn this peaceful woodland into a scene of unthinkable horror. Today, we're uncovering the heartbreaking story of Alex Rada, a teenager who lived his truth openly and proudly, and Matthew Mason, a young man so desperate to hide his own identity that he was willing to kill for it. This isn't just another true crime story. It's a powerful warning about the deadly cost of shame and secrets in our society. Before we dive into this important case, take a moment to hit that like button and share this video with others. By spreading awareness about cases like Alex's, we can help prevent similar tragedies from happening again. Make sure you're subscribed to catch more in-depth true crime stories that shed light on the issues facing our world today. This is the story of how a series of Instagram messages led to murder, and how a community was forever changed by the loss of a bright young soul who just wanted to live authentically. The December rain fell like tears against the windshield, drumming a somber rhythm as two young men guided their car deeper into the forest's embrace. The ancient trees loomed overhead, their branches intertwined like gnarled fingers, keeping secrets that would soon turn this peaceful woodland into a stage for tragedy. What began as a clandestine meeting in the depths of night would, by dawn's first light, transform into something far more sinister, leaving behind a shattered family, a lost soul, and questions that would echo through the community for years to come. In the tranquil county of Cheshire, where rolling hills meet historic charm, lay the small community of Tabley. Here, the Rada family had woven their lives into the fabric of local life, their modest home a testament to love's simple pleasures. Lisa and Adam Rada, along with their firstborn Adam Jr., created a haven of warmth and laughter. But, like many dreams, theirs remained incomplete. Their hearts held space for another child. Then came what Lisa would forever call her miracle of March: Alexander Rada, born on the 5th of March, 2004. After nearly 10 years of hoping, their family circle was finally complete. From his earliest days, Alex painted his world in unique colors. While other boys roughhoused in muddy gardens, he found joy in the shimmer of his mother's lipsticks and the soft leather of her handbags. His gentle soul and creative spirit danced to a rhythm entirely his own. The summer Alex turned 13 brought more than just teenage transitions. It carried the weight of truth. When he gathered his courage to come out as gay to his parents, he found not judgment, but understanding in their eyes. Lisa and Adam had long recognized the beautiful authenticity in their son's heart, though Adam's paternal instincts stirred with worry, not for who Alex was, but for the world that might not be ready for his radiance. Within the brick walls of Holmes Chapel Secondary School, Alex navigated the choppy waters of adolescence with remarkable grace. While some boys hurled words sharp as stones, unable to accept the unfamiliar, Alex stood tall like a lighthouse in a storm. He found his harbor among a circle of fierce female friends who celebrated his uniqueness, creating a shield of acceptance against the winds of prejudice. Their friendship became a testament to the family we choose, not just the one we're born into. In the protective circle of his 8 closest friends, Alex found the strength to become more brilliantly himself with each passing day. These fierce guardians, particularly in their teenage years where every slight can feel like a wound, stood as unwavering sentinels against the barbs of prejudice and misunderstanding. Their devotion to Alex wasn't just friendship, it was a testament to his magnetic spirit, a soul that seemed to dance through life with an infectious joy that turned even ordinary moments into celebrations. His laughter echoed through school corridors, his creativity sparked conversations, and his zest for life proved contagious to all who knew him. The digital age had given Alex a new stage for his natural performative talents. His social media presence bloomed like a garden in spring, each post a carefully curated expression of his authentic self. Videos of him singing and dancing garnered thousands of views, his follower count climbing past 4,000, a number that represented not just statistics, but a growing community drawn to his undeniable charisma. At home, his relationship with his father, Adam, had evolved into something beautifully rare, a father-son bond that transcended traditional hierarchies to become a friendship built on trust, understanding, and mutual respect. As Alex turned 15, This connection would prove more vital than anyone could have predicted. Then came the message that would alter the course of Alex's story, a digital whisper from Matthew Mason that carried the weight of destiny. At 19, Matthew seemed to inhabit a different world entirely. From the wealthy farming community of Ollerton, he was born into privilege and tradition, his family's grand estate standing as a testament to generations of agricultural success. Every Sunday, the Masons would take their place in the church pews, the very picture of religious devotion and small-town respectability. Matthew himself cut a figure of quiet capability, a young man pursuing agricultural engineering, apprenticing as a mechanic, and spending peaceful days fishing with his father in a scene that could have been plucked from a Norman Rockwell painting. The contrast between these two young men couldn't have been starker. While Alex painted his world in bright colors and bold statements, Matthew moved through life in measured steps, his relationship with Caitlin Lancashire fitting perfectly into the expectations of their conservative community. When Alex confided in his best friend Georgia about Matthew's messages in October 2019, her immediate concern spoke to these disparities. Georgia, who carried memories of Matthew from their shared school days at Holmes Chapel, found herself troubled by this unexpected connection. In all her observations of Matthew, there had never been even a whisper of interest in men, no hint of the bisexuality that his messages to Alex seemed to suggest. As Georgia watched this unlikely relationship unfold, her protective instincts flared. The social spheres these two inhabited were as different as day and night. Alex's world of creative expression and open emotion seemed fundamentally incompatible with Matthew's traditional, reserved existence. Yet her warnings fell on ears already tuned to the sweeter melody of possibility. For Alex, Matthew's attention represented more than just messages on a screen. It was the promise of first love, that universal teenage dream of romance and connection. Despite the red flags waving in the periphery of this budding relationship, Alex found himself drawn deeper into what he hoped would be his first real romantic experience, his heart leading him forward while wisdom whispered caution in his ear. What began as innocent messages soon bloomed into something that made Alex's heart race with newfound excitement. His friends watched as he glowed with the special radiance of first love, their own hearts warming at his happiness even as whispers of concern lingered in their minds. The digital dance between Alex and Matthew started slowly, casual compliments and friendly banter that gradually transformed into something more intimate. Alex, with the boldness of youth, freely offered compliments about Matthew's appearance, and soon their phones became conduits for increasingly personal exchanges. The trajectory of their connection shifted dramatically one alcohol-fueled night when Matthew, his inhibitions loosened by drink, crossed an unspoken boundary by sending Alex an explicit photograph. In a moment that would later seem pivotal, Alex's response reflected his inherent innocence. He laughed it off with the lightness of someone who hadn't yet learned to fear the darker possibilities of human nature. But Matthew, perhaps emboldened by Alex's casual response, pushed further, sending a video that left no room for innocent interpretation. Their virtual relationship began to take on a more urgent tone, with Matthew suggesting they meet in person, even offering to come to Alex's house, a proposition that Alex, protected by his father's rules, thankfully declined. Reality cracked the foundation of Alex's romantic dreams when he discovered Matthew's ongoing relationship with Caitlin. The revelation hit him like a physical blow, sending ripples of hurt through his young heart. His friends, who had watched this digital romance unfold with increasing unease, tried to shield him from further pain. But Alex, caught in the powerful undertow of first love, found himself unable to simply let go, even as doubt began to poison the waters of his affection. The weight of discovery and betrayal proved too heavy to bear alone. On November 3rd, driven by a need for truth that outweighed his fear of consequences, Alex reached out to Caitlin. His message to her was both a question and a confession. "Are you dating Matthew?" The confirmation he received only steeled his resolve. With the courage of the heartbroken, Alex unveiled the secret relationship he had shared with Matthew over the past weeks, including the explicit exchanges that now felt tainted by deception. He shared how he had tried to end things upon discovering Matthew's duplicity, his voice carrying the weight of both innocence lost and wisdom gained too soon. The revelation that Matthew had been playing a dangerous double game ignited something in Alex that transformed hurt into righteous anger. Reports would later suggest that jealousy fueled his next actions, but perhaps it was something purer, a young person's first encounter with profound betrayal and their instinctive push toward truth. Within an hour of his conversation with Caitlin, Alex confronted Matthew directly, his message charged with the power of someone who had found their voice in the midst of deception. It was no longer the voice of a love-struck teenager, but of someone demanding accountability for broken trust and manipulated emotions. The truth became a weapon wielded by desperate hearts. Alex, driven by a sense of moral justice, confronted Matthew about Caitlin's right to know everything after 2 years of devotion. But Matthew, suffocating under the weight of his conservative family's expectations and religious convictions, saw his carefully constructed world beginning to crumble. His sexuality, buried beneath layers of denial and fear, threatened to emerge into the unforgiving light of public scrutiny. When Alex revealed their secret to Caitlin, Matthew's response was born of pure panic. He branded Alex a liar, desperately trying to preserve the facade of his traditional life. Money became Matthew's currency of silence. A bank transfer of £60, with Alex added as a beneficiary, marked his first attempt to buy secrecy. The payment carried an unspoken message: please keep my truth hidden. Meanwhile, Caitlin, faced with undeniable evidence of betrayal, severed her ties with Matthew, leaving him increasingly unstable and desperate. November 9th marked a pivotal moment, their first physical encounter. Over the following fortnight, their relationship intensified, becoming a dangerous dance of intimacy and manipulation. Matthew continued making small payments, each transaction a plea for discretion, while their emotional entanglement grew more complex and volatile. But beneath the surface, something darker was brewing. December 12, 2019, dawned like any other day, but would end in tragedy. The weight of Alex's threats and the fear of exposure finally broke something in Matthew's psyche. Under the cover of darkness and falling rain, he collected Alex from his home, the wrench already hidden in his car, a premeditated tool of destruction. The secluded woodland became a theater for unthinkable violence as Matthew unleashed his fury, transforming from lover to executioner in the space of moments. In the aftermath, Matthew's actions revealed a chilling calculation. He orchestrated an elaborate performance of normalcy, visiting a friend's farm to establish an alibi, making appearances at local bars, even sharing a carefree selfie on social media. The night's grotesque choreography culminated in a shirtless photograph sent to Caitlin from his bed, smiling as if the evening had been nothing more than ordinary revelry. Each action was a deliberate brushstroke in painting a picture of innocence. The discovery of Alex's phone in his car sparked a new wave of panic. The device held digital fingerprints of their relationship, evidence that had to disappear. But the night's darkest act was yet to come. Matthew returned to the woods, where his failed attempt to move Alex's body led to a final act of callousness, leaving his victim abandoned by the roadside like a secret too heavy to carry. The clock struck midnight and panic began to ripple through the Rada household. Alex's absence had transformed from concern into terror, triggering a desperate search that would unite friends, family, and law enforcement in the cold December darkness. At 12:35 a.m., as search parties combed the streets, a Cheshire police officer reached out to Matthew, a seemingly routine text that carried the weight of growing suspicion. Alex's mother, guided by maternal instinct, had already voiced her concerns about Matthew, her words heavy with a dread she couldn't fully explain. Dawn broke with devastating clarity when local garbage collectors made the discovery that would shatter a community's peace. Alex's body, partially clothed and brutally beaten, lay discarded near the woods like a cruel testament to humanity's capacity for violence. The police arrived to a scene that would haunt even veteran officers. At least 15 savage blows had stolen the life of a boy who had so much left to give, his dreams and potential scattered like leaves in the December wind. Matthew's carefully constructed alibi began to unravel with unexpected swiftness. A vigilant witness had captured something seemingly insignificant, a photograph of a parked car that would become the key to unlocking justice. The vehicle's registration led investigators straight to Matthew, whom they intercepted near a highway on December 13th. The evidence was damning. Dried blood still visible, and in his trunk, a macabre collection sealed in a garbage bag, a blood-stained green sweater, the murderous wrench, and Alex's padded jacket, each item telling its own part of the tragic story. As investigators peeled back the layers of this relationship, a disturbing pattern emerged. What had begun in the digital realm as messages and flirtation had evolved into a complex web of financial transactions and sexual encounters. The evidence painted a troubling picture. $2,500 exchanged hands over time, each payment a silent agreement. Part compensation, part hush money. The final payment of $130, made just 5 days before the murder, stood as a grim milestone in their doomed connection. One particularly chaotic encounter had ended in near discovery when Alex's mother returned home unexpectedly. In its aftermath, Alex had confided in a friend, his messages revealing both physical discomfort and emotional confusion. His friend's casual joke about prostitution had prompted Alex to fixate on the money he'd received, perhaps trying to justify or make sense of his situation through humor, a coping mechanism that couldn't mask the underlying distress. But perhaps most chilling were the digital breadcrumbs Matthew had left behind. His internet search history revealed premeditation in its darkest form, queries about causing harm, including the eerily specific, "What happens if you push someone down the stairs?" These searches stood as silent witnesses to a mind contemplating violence long before that fatal December night. The digital footprints Matthew left behind painted a disturbing portrait of premeditation. His internet searches spiraled into increasingly dark territory, from poisons to unsolved missing persons cases in Cheshire, each query building a staircase toward tragedy. Meanwhile, Alex's excitement about meeting Matthew in person began to curdle into apprehension after their phone call. His message to a friend about the secret special place carried an undercurrent of unease, yet financial necessity pushed him forward despite his instincts screaming caution. Alex's final social media post stands as a haunting timestamp of innocence, a photo of the car's interior adorned with a small heart emoji, unwittingly documenting his last moments of life. The image, seemingly ordinary, would later become evidence of extraordinary significance, marking the precise moment before hope turned to horror. Throughout their relationship, Alex's friends had watched with growing alarm as the pattern of financial transactions deepened. Matthew's claim of being out of funds proved to be yet another deception when an additional $800 materialized in Alex's account. During police interviews, these same friends, their identities protected by law, revealed their repeated warnings to Alex. Their testimonies painted a picture of collective concern, of young people recognizing danger before it fully manifested, yet helpless to prevent their friend from walking into its embrace. The trial at Chester Crown Court, beginning January 25, 2021, stripped away any remaining illusions about the relationship's nature. The courtroom became a theater where the illegal nature of their connection was laid bare. A 19-year-old and a 15-year-old, their relationship explicitly forbidden under English law, which sets the age of consent at 16. Each revelation in court added another layer to the tragedy, highlighting how a brief connection had spiraled into something dark and irrevocable. Matthew's testimony revealed a man desperately trying to rationalize the unforgivable. His admission to wielding the wrench came wrapped in claims of blackmail and loss of control, as if violence could be justified by the fear of exposure. He attempted to rewrite their history, describing their October 2019 connection as casual, while painting Alex as the aggressor, sending provocative late-night messages, and allegedly attempting to attack him. His expressed shame over their encounters rang hollow, not just because Alex was male, he claimed, but because of his youth, as if this belated recognition of their age difference could somehow absolve him of his actions. In the stark light of the courtroom, the detective inspector's testimony shattered Matthew's claims of temporary loss of control. Each piece of evidence revealed a calculated design, a premeditated plan executed with chilling precision. The secluded location wasn't chosen by chance. It was selected as a stage for an act Matthew believed would remain forever hidden in darkness. The victim impact statements transformed the clinical atmosphere of the courtroom into a chamber of raw grief. Lisa and Adam Rada's words painted a portrait of their lost son that stood in stark contrast to the dark narrative of his final hours. Their Alex was a child of light, beautiful, loving, and authentically himself. Lisa's voice, trembling with both sorrow and rage, described a boy raised in the warmth of acceptance, never needing to hide behind society's masks. Her condemnation of Matthew cut through his carefully constructed defenses. She named him for what he was, a calculating predator who, even in the face of justice, tried to soil her son's memory to save himself. Adam's tribute to his son added another dimension to Alex's story. A funny, respectful young man whose empathy touched everyone around him. His words captured the bottomless void left in their lives, an absence that no passage of time could ever fill. The jury's verdict, delivered after 9 hours of deliberation, finally stripped away Matthew's last pretense of innocence. As Matthew crumbled into sobs in the defendant's box, the judge's words fell like hammer blows. The minimum 25-year sentence for using a weapon was just the beginning. The court methodically dismantled Matthew's defense, acknowledging that while Alex might have initiated contact, it was Matthew, older, more experienced, and far more worldly, who had cultivated and encouraged their illegal relationship. The judge's assessment was unsparing. This was no crime of passion, but a meticulously planned execution carried out with cold precision. The life sentence with a 28-year minimum term seemed to close the book on justice, but Matthew's legal team wasn't finished. Their appeal on June 23, 2021, resulted in a minor victory, the minimum term reduced to 26 years. Yet even this slight reduction couldn't alter the fundamental truth of what had occurred. The tragedy of Matthew Mason stands as a stark warning about the destructive power of self-denial and internalized shame. His inability to reconcile his sexuality with his conservative upbringing created a pressure cooker of repression that eventually exploded into violence. In his desperate attempt to maintain a facade of heterosexual normality, he not only destroyed his own future, but extinguished a bright light in the world, a young man who had already learned to live his truth without apology. Alex Rada's legacy isn't found in the tragic circumstances of his death, but in the authentic way he lived his life. While Matthew hid behind masks of conformity, Alex danced freely in his own skin, spreading joy and showing others how to embrace their true selves. In the end, this case isn't just about murder. It's about the devastating consequences of society's persistent stigma against LGBTQ+ individuals and how the poison of shame can transform fear into fatal violence.